Hey guys, it's Patrick with Uncle Bill's Camping. Today we're going to be talking about the Gsi Glacier Minimalist Camping Cup or Cook System. If something you're interested in, hang around for a second. I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay guys, so just like I said in the intro, we are talking about the Gsi Glacier Stainless Minimalist Camping Cup or Cooking System. It's a mouthful. From here on out, I'll just be calling it the Gsi Cooking System because that's what I'm going to be using it for. We're going to open this thing up. I'm going to show you what's inside and tell you what I like and what I dislike about it. Okay guys, so we got the cup out of the box and we'll take a look at this real quick. First I'm going to show you the instructions. Now, something I like, more and more companies are doing this. They're switching to the plastic paper mix instructions. So they're a lot more durable. They can get wet and they don't rot and fall apart. But you know, you're definitely not going to run into any language barrier with this whatsoever. So no matter what your language is, GSI has got you covered. Some basic instructions on the back on how to use it. And there are a couple of useful facts inside of here that pertain mostly to how to pack everything in there efficiently and not really run into any problems. I think after one read, you're not going to need to mess with that anymore, but they'll definitely be around forever if you need it. The cup itself comes in this neoprene sleeve, which is really, really good. Now, of course, it's got the GSI logo on the front. There are some nesting instructions or suggestions on the side there about how you might want to put your butane in your stove in there. It has a small hole on the bottom. It's not that big of a deal, but it makes it very convenient as far as sliding everything in and out, not running into any air pressure or suction when taking it off of there when you're going to use it on a stove. Now, according to GSI, it says that this is 216 grams. I'm going to go ahead and turn my scale on, let it zero out. We're going to set it on here. 217, 216 on the money. And that's with the pot gripper and the collapsible spork on the inside. So good for GSI. You know, one thing I can't stand is when somebody advertises a product one way and it turns out another, whether it be weight or if it's like a flashlight and they're talking about battery life, things like that. So I can really appreciate that. And it's one of the reasons I like GSI products. And the lid on this joker is on there tight. And we'll talk about the lid for a second. There's a few things you should know about the lid. One is the seal that actually goes down on the cup and goes around the edge is removable for cleaning. So you can take that off of there, clean down in all the little nook and crannies, keep bacteria and fungus, whatever gets down in there from gooping up and, you know, causing you problems. Something you should also know about the lid, it says this in the instructions. When you're using this to cook with on a stove, what you should not do is actually put the lid down inside of it like that. You need to turn it upside down. And I'm going to assume that the reason for that is you don't want that suction seal on there when you're trying to take the lid off and you have a hot liquid because, you know, you can splash yourself when it finally breaks loose and comes off of there. The other benefit to that is right there where where you would pour out to maybe use it to sip coffee or drink out of. On the other side, the way it's inverted, you can use it like a strainer and pour stuff out of. So it'll work that way also, which I think is pretty cool. GSI, they do little things. It's little bitty, very convenient things that they do that makes me like their products. It's not everything, but a lot of stuff they do. I have the GSI Java Press also, and I like the fact that you can take that whole thing apart and clean it if it gets funky. I mean, every little bit of it. Of course, you have the little pot gripper here, little sock puppet. And it's got a magnet right here, so you're not really supposed to stick this to the side of the cup. I've heard a lot of people complain that it won't even stick to the side of the cup. You really shouldn't be doing that anyway when you're cooking. I know this is heat resistant, but still, I mean, if flame comes up the side of it, it's going to melt it, mess it up. I think it's more so to where you can stick it to the bottom of the butane canister or to the side of your butane canister so you don't lose track of it when you're using when you're cooking. This right here, what I would say is I'm not a fan of this. I'm not saying it's bad, but you have this collapsible spork. and it snaps out and locks into place. And honestly, the problem I have with this has nothing to do with the fact that it's collapsible whatsoever. It's the little pieces up at the top. They're too sharp, not smooth enough, and it feels like if you were, eating too fast or not paying attention, it feels like you could cut the inside of your mouth fairly easy with the spork. So use at your own risk. I mean, but everybody's got a bunch of sporks in their pack. Probably don't need this, but if you're so inclined to use this, there is a specific way you're supposed to put this inside of the cup to make sure everything gets in there. We'll get to that in a second. Now, I was talking about how this, all goes together and how you're supposed to pack it a certain way. Now, I'll show you how this sits on here real quick. Now, this is I'm actually using a Mighty Mo stove. That's the stove I like. I've always done pretty well with Jetboils. I've had this one for years and years and years. I've never had a problem with the piezo igniter. I know a lot of people are MSR Pocket Rocket fans, and that's a great stove also. And whichever one you choose, you'll have room to be able to put a lighter inside of here with everything else, or matches, whatever you use, or a striker. But it sits on here. There's plenty of room. And I like it and I don't like it. The reason that I have a little bit of an issue with it is I am not used to using a stove where everything doesn't lock together. I came up on Jetboils, and if you use these, that everything locks together. You can pick it up while it's cooking, while the stove is on, and just tote it around, set it somewhere else. It's got to be on a stable area, and you got to handle it the right way, or it will. You got to respect it, or it's going to burn you. And I'm not, I'm going to learn how to use it, but I'm just a little uncomfortable with it right now. But I do like, you got the little pot gripper thing to be able to pick it up. You don't burn yourself. And as I understand it, like I said, you're supposed to be able to take this off of the stove and drop it directly into the neoprene sleeve and not have any issues, not any melting issues or anything. So definitely put that to the test. Something that I noticed, I don't even know if it was in the instruction manual, but I thought there was a tool mark on the inside from manufacturing, but it's actually not a tool mark. There's a vertical line that runs about, I'd say it's maybe an inch and a quarter down the inside of it, and hopefully you'll be able to see that. It's right in there somewhere. And what that is that's actually the max water level mark that you're supposed to put it up to. So this is 2 cups is what you're supposed to put in here, and it brings it right to that mark. Most of the marks that I've seen for like high water marks, things like that, I've always been horizontal. This one's vertical. I guess it makes it a little bit easier to see because of the polished stainless steel, the way they got it polished. It makes it stand out a little bit more. I thought it was just some kind of scratch or tool mark, but that's what it is. I'll show you how all this packs down in here, and it's pretty neat. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and break all this down. I'm going to show you how all this stuff nests down in there. Now, it's kind of a specific way it's supposed to go in there. But once you do it one time, you're never going to need to figure it out again. It's pretty self-explanatory. So, of course, you're going to break down your stove, and always do that away from you, man. Getting that little whiff of isobutane is always kind of potent. Get all that collapsed down. Remember we were talking about the pot holder earlier, has that magnet on the inside. Well, you stick that to the bottom of your butane canister there, and it'll collapse right up underneath it, not take up any space whatsoever. And it also gives it a little bit of padding, so when you drop it down the cup, it doesn't just slam into it. Not that it really matters, but of course you want to make sure that you got your cap on your butane there, so you don't damage the threads with your stove and things. The spork, you're going to want to put that in a very specific way. It needs to go with the curved edge facing inward and standing straight up, like so. Now, it will stick over the edge just a little bit. That's not a big deal because the lid's going to fit right over it. And, of course, you got your stove. Of course, mine, like I said, I'm using the Jetboil, but the MSR, all of it will fit in there just the same. And you can see there is a lot of room down in there, and that's with having the pot holder, the butane, the stove, the spork. You still got plenty of room to be able to put like a lighter down in there, maybe some coffee, some sugar, things like that, you know, whatever you need, you know, especially in the morning time, just to get your day going, you know, have all that stuff right there with you. And of course, you just set the lid, snug that down on there, and you'll notice if you do it exactly the right way, the little piece, the handle of the spork will stick right out of the mouthpiece, right up to the edge. It won't go out of it, but it'll be right there at the edge. And I've seen some of these that actually come with a bag, but you don't need one. Once that's on there, it's not coming out, man. It's not going to dump out in your pack or anything like that. It's all going to pack down in there real solid, so you don't need any kind of extra bag whatsoever. Okay guys, so before we wrap this video up, I just kind of wanted to show you the difference between these two cooking systems right here. You know, both of these have fully loaded 110s inside of them, 110 isobutane cartridges, and I'm just going to show you the weight difference between this. Now keep in mind, both of these are only supposed to boil 2 cups of water at once. So capacity wise, you know, they operate the same. Jetboil weighs in at 675. The GSI weighs in at 535. And, you know, that's with the stove, the pot holder, the butane, the lighter, the, you know, collapsible spork, all that stuff. So there's considerable weight difference there. Altogether, you know, it really boils down to preference. This is a little bit heavier, but it's going to have a little bit more stability to it. So I guess if you're just starting out hiking, this is great. If you're a little bit more careful, you could go with something like this and save yourself a little bit of weight. Just keep in mind, you're going to have to give it a little bit more respect than you would something like this to keep yourself from getting burned and hurting yourself. Either way, I just wanted to chime in with that. This is Patrick from Uncle Bill's Camping. Thank you for taking the time to look at my video, and I will see you guys the next time around. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, feel free to give me a like or hit that subscribe button to show your appreciation. You can also find more of my content at UncleBillsCamping.com, Pinterest, Twitter, Minds, Reddit, YouTube, BitChute, Steemit, and DTube. And from Uncle Bill's Camping, this is Patrick saying thank you for supporting my channel and watching my videos.